I still remember the day that changed everything. For 7 years, my daughter had ignored me. Not a call. Not a text. Not even a simple note. Every birthday, every Christmas, every little milestone, I was left out. Hi, I'm James. I'm 63 years old. And for most of my life, I thought I was a good father. I worked hard. I sacrificed. I gave her everything I could. Yet, somehow, she disappeared from my life. Before I go on, if you've ever had someone you love ignore you, please subscribe and comment your city or country. I want to hear your story. You're not alone. It started quietly. Emily, my daughter, moved out of state for college. I told myself it was normal. Kids need space, I thought. But time passed. Calls became fewer. Visits stopped. I tried everything. Letters, birthday cards, small gifts, all ignored. Returned unopened. Never received. The first Christmas without her. I felt like my heart had been ripped out. I sat alone in my living room. The tree lights flickered softly. Ornaments sparkled. And yet, her laughter was missing. I could almost hear it in my dreams. But reality was cold and silent. I blamed myself. Every argument we ever had, every harsh word. I replayed them endlessly in my mind. Was I too strict? Too busy? Too flawed? Maybe I was. But nothing could have prepared me for the deep emptiness of being ignored by your own child. Years passed. My hair turned gray. My back ached. My health started to fail. But the loneliness was worse than any ailment. I would sit in my chair, staring at her old bedroom. Her posters, her books, her things untouched. I kept hoping, praying, that one day she would come back. I tried keeping busy. Gardening, reading, small trips. But everything reminded me of her absence. I remember one night, lying awake, thinking about how many times I'd called her. How many times I had hoped she'd answer. Her silence was like a shadow over my life. Then came the day, the call. I was sitting in the kitchen making tea. The phone rang. I didn't recognize the number. I almost ignored it. But something inside me said, pick it up. And then I heard her voice. Dad, it's me. My heart stopped. 7 long years of silence, and I heard my daughter's voice. I couldn't speak at first. My throat felt tight. My hands trembled. Emily, is that really you? I managed to whisper. Yes. Dad, it's me, she said, her voice soft, almost unsteady. I wanted to scream, to cry, to run to her. I didn't know whether to be happy or scared. The voice I had missed for so long was real. And just like that, one call changed everything. But I had no idea how much it would change. Because that call wasn't just a hello. It carried secrets. It carried pain. It carried a truth I was unprepared for. I remember sitting down, holding the phone, listening to her words. She sounded distant, but urgent. I need to see you, Dad. I need to explain everything, she said. I wanted to ask why she had left, why she had ignored me for so long, but I didn't. Instead, I simply said, I'll be there. Tell me when. She gave me a time and a place. And then, she hung up. I sat in silence. My mind raced. Questions, fears, regrets, hope, all mixed together. Why now? Why after 7 years? What had happened in her life? And most importantly, why had she ignored me? The days leading up to our meeting were unbearable. I replayed memories, both good and bad. Her first steps, her first day of school, her graduation. All those moments, and then, nothing. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I just waited, thinking of what she might say. The night before I was to see her, I found myself going through old letters and cards she had sent me when she was younger. I hadn't looked at them in years. Her handwriting, her little drawings, memories of laughter and innocence. I realized how much I had missed. The next morning, I dressed carefully, my heart pounding. I drove to the cafe she had asked to meet at, feeling like a teenager on his first date. When I arrived, I saw her. Emily. Older, taller, but still the same girl I had raised. Our eyes met, and for a moment, the world seemed to stop. She looked nervous, almost fragile. I wanted to run to her, hug her, tell her I forgave her, tell her I missed her every day. But I held back. We sat down. The cafe was busy, but I felt like we were alone in the room. She looked at me, her eyes shining, and finally said, "Dad, I'm so sorry." Her voice cracked. I wanted to ask so many things, why she left, why she ignored me, but I decided to listen first. She took a deep breath and began to explain. And that's when I realized, the years of silence were not what I thought. It wasn't anger. It wasn't hatred. It wasn't that she didn't love me. It was something else. Something I could never have imagined. I felt my chest tighten. Her story, her life, the choices she had made, it all came spilling out. And with every word I realized something painful, something I had never expected. The daughter I thought I had lost had been trying to protect me all along. But her way of protecting me was to stay away. The twist, the truth, it left me stunned. I sat there, holding my coffee, listening, my mind spinning. After 7 years, one call, and suddenly, everything I thought I knew about our relationship changed. Her words were heavy, filled with secrets and regrets. And as I listened, I felt a strange mixture of emotions, relief, heartbreak, love, and a question I couldn't answer yet. Could we really fix what had been broken for so long? The answer? I didn't know. But one thing was clear. That call, it was the beginning. The beginning of a journey I had almost given up on. A journey of truth, forgiveness, and perhaps, a chance to rebuild what was lost. I took a deep breath. And I realized, life sometimes gives second chances, when you least expect them. I watched her sit across from me at that small cafe, nervously twisting her hands in her lap. Emily had changed. 7 years had grown her up, given her an edge I hadn't seen when she was a teenager. But beneath that exterior, I could see her hesitation, the fear in her eyes, the weight she had carried alone. "Dad," she began softly, "there's so much I need to explain. And I don't even know where to start." I nodded. I wanted her to speak, but I also didn't want to rush her. The silence between us was heavy, filled with memories that both comforted and haunted me. I remembered her as a little girl, running to me with scraped knees. Her laughter filling the house. Her little hand in mine as we walked in the park. And now, years later, that hand had been gone, replaced by a gap that had hurt more than I could ever say. She looked up at me, tears brimming. "I should have called. I should have told you everything," she said. Her voice cracked. I could hear the guilt, the regret, the burden of the years she had carried alone. I wanted to ask what had happened, why she stayed away, but I stayed silent. I let her speak first. "My life. It got complicated," she said. I nodded. I figured as much. "But Emily, I missed you. Every single day." Her eyes welled up. "I know, Dad. And I missed you too. More than you can imagine." She took a deep breath. "When I left, it wasn't because I didn't love you. It was because I was scared. Scared of hurting you. Scared of what would happen if you knew everything." I leaned in, trying to understand. "Everything? What do you mean?" Her hands trembled. "Dad, the truth is, I've been hiding a part of my life from you. And I thought staying away was the only way to keep you safe." I felt my stomach tighten. My mind raced. What could she possibly have been hiding for 7 years? She looked down at her coffee. "I got into trouble, Dad. Real trouble. Things I couldn't tell you about. things I thought would destroy you if you knew. My heart pounded. Trouble? Emily, what are you talking about? She swallowed hard. I got involved with the wrong people. People who could hurt you if they knew I was close to you. I didn't know how to protect myself and I didn't want to risk you. So, I left. I stayed away. I ignored calls. I pretended I didn't exist. The cafe around us faded. Her words, her confession, hit me like a tidal wave. All those years, all that pain, and it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with protecting me, in her own way. I reached across the table and took her hand. Emily. Why didn't you trust me to help you? Why not tell me? She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I was scared, Dad. I didn't want you hurt. I didn't want you involved. I thought, if I disappeared you'd be safe. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. I felt my chest tighten. Anger, relief, sorrow, all at once. I've spent years wondering why you left, why you ignored me. I blamed myself, Emily. I thought I had failed you. I whispered. Her grip tightened on my hand. No, Dad. It wasn't your fault. You did everything right. I just didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to face the danger or explain it to you. So I ran. I sat back, trying to absorb her words. The years of silence, the loneliness, the pain, all suddenly made sense. But even as I tried to process it, there was another part of me, a cautious part, asking, why now? Why tell me now? She seemed to read my thoughts. I couldn't tell you until I knew I was safe. Until I knew they weren't after me anymore. I frowned. Who, Emily? Who was after you? Her voice dropped to a whisper. People from my past, from college, dangerous people. They were involved in things I can't even explain. I got caught in something I didn't understand. And when I realized the risk to you, I left. I felt a chill. I wanted to ask more, to know exactly what she meant, but I could see the pain in her eyes. She had carried this alone for 7 years. And I realized it wasn't just a call or a visit that had been missing. It was the truth. Her life had been complicated, and she had thought staying away was the only way to protect me. I wanted to reach out and hug her, to tell her it was okay, that I forgave her, but I stayed calm, letting her continue. I couldn't contact you, not until I knew I could explain everything without putting you at risk, she said. I nodded slowly. Emily, you've been carrying this all alone. I wish you had let me help sooner. I would have done anything to keep you safe. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of relief and fear. I know, Dad. And I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. But there were moments when I thought I'd never survive this. And I thought leaving was the only way. Her voice broke, and I could feel the weight of her words. I reached across the table again, holding her hands tightly. You don't have to carry it alone anymore, Emily. We can face it together. Tears ran down her cheeks. I don't even know where to start. I want to tell you everything, but I'm afraid it's too much. Too complicated. Too dark. I nodded. Start with one thing at a time. I'm listening. No judgment. Just us. She took a deep breath and began to tell me about the past 7 years, the mistakes, the fear, the people she had encountered, the dangerous situations. Every word left me stunned. I had imagined she might have struggled, but this was beyond what I could have ever expected. She spoke about the pressure, the threats, the constant fear she had lived with. She explained how she had tried to build a life quietly, hiding from everyone who might bring danger to her, or to me. And then came the part that shook me the most. I had to make choices I never wanted to make. Choices that went against everything I believe in, everything I stand for. And I thought, if I came back to you, if I told you, you'd hate me. You'd see me differently. Her voice cracked. I wanted to tell her it didn't matter, that I would always love her, but the words caught in my throat. Because I could see the truth in her eyes, the shame, the guilt, the fear, all mixed together. I thought staying away was the only way to protect you, Dad. But I was wrong. And now I just want to come home. I want to be with you. I want us to be a family again. She whispered. I felt a tear slip down my cheek. All the years of longing, the pain, the loneliness, it all came flooding back. And yet, there was hope. The first hope I had felt in 7 years. Emily, you're home now. That's all that matters, I said softly. But even as we sat there, reconnecting, rebuilding what had been broken, I knew this was just the beginning. The secrets she had carried, the dangers she had escaped, the choices she had made, they weren't over yet. And somewhere deep inside, I knew the next steps would test us both. Test our trust, our bond, our love, like nothing we had faced before. But for now, I held her hand. I listened. I let her speak. And for the first time in 7 years, I felt my heart start to heal. One call, and the years of silence began to unravel. But the truth, the full truth, was still waiting. And I had a feeling it was going to be more than I could handle. After that first meeting, Emily and I didn't talk about anything else for a while. We just sat there, in silence, in understanding. For 7 years, I had imagined countless scenarios. I had imagined fights, regrets, anger, but nothing could have prepared me for what she was about to reveal. Dad, she said finally, her voice trembling. There's so much you don't know. And some of it might be hard to hear. I nodded. I'm listening, Emily. Whatever it is, tell me. She looked around the cafe, like she feared someone might be listening. It all started during my last year of college, she began. I listened carefully. Emily had gotten involved with a group of people who seemed harmless at first, classmates, friends, people she trusted. But soon, she realized they weren't who they claimed to be. They were involved in illegal things, Dad, she said, her voice barely a whisper. I didn't understand it at first. I just thought, maybe they were making bad choices. But it got worse. I felt my stomach tighten. What kind of things, Emily? She swallowed hard. Fraud. Threats. Blackmail. Dangerous activities. I got caught up, and I didn't know how to get out. I could hardly breathe. And you thought staying away from me would protect me? She nodded. Yes. I couldn't risk it. I didn't want anyone to come after you. I thought, if I disappeared, they wouldn't know where to find me, or you. My mind raced. 7 years of pain, all for her protection. But Dad, it wasn't just danger, she said, tears in her eyes. I had to do things I never wanted to do. I had to lie, hide, even make promises I didn't believe in, just to survive. I wanted to reach out and hug her. I wanted to tell her she didn't have to carry it alone anymore. But her next words froze me. There was one night, a night I thought I would lose everything. She whispered. I leaned in. What happened? They threatened me, Dad. They said if I didn't cooperate, if I tried to go to anyone, they would hurt me. And worse, they threatened you. I felt a cold sweat break out. They threatened me? Emily nodded, trembling. Yes. I didn't tell you because I couldn't risk it. I couldn't risk losing you, Dad. So I stayed silent. I ran. I pretended I didn't exist. Every call I ignored, every message I didn't reply, it was to keep you safe. I felt a mixture of relief and horror. Relief that she hadn't abandoned me out of anger, horror at what she had endured alone. I had to move from city to city, change jobs, hide from them, and every day, I feared they'd find me. And every day, I missed you more than anything. Her voice cracked. I miss you, Dad, more than you can imagine. But I couldn't risk it. I reached for her hand. Emily, you didn't do anything wrong. You were protecting both of us. She shook her head. I made mistakes, Dad. Choices I regret. But I never stopped loving you. And then she said something that stopped me cold. There's one thing, one secret, that I've never told anyone. Not even my best friends. And I'm afraid. I'm afraid you might see me differently. I held my breath. What is it? Emily looked at me with tears in her eyes. During that time, I got involved in something illegal. I never stole from anyone, I never hurt anyone, but I did things I'm not proud of. I had to survive. And it changed me, Dad. It changed how I saw the world. How I saw myself. I felt a pang in my heart. I had raised her to be honest, kind, good. And now she was telling me she had been forced to survive in ways I never imagined. Emily, you're alive. That's what matters, I said softly. She shook her head. It's not that simple, Dad. I thought I could fix it on my own. I thought I could handle it. But I was wrong. I couldn't. And I think part of why I ran, part of why I ignored you, was guilt. Guilt that I had survived while I felt I had failed you. I squeezed her hand. You didn't fail me. You survived. And now, we'll face it together. Her eyes searched mine. Dad, I don't even know if we can. They're still out there. The people I escaped, they know I'm back. And I'm scared. I felt a chill run down my spine. We'll figure it out, Emily. Together. You're not alone anymore. She leaned back, taking a deep breath. I thought I'd have to live my whole life hiding from them. I thought I'd have to stay away from everyone I loved. But talking to you now, I realize maybe there's a chance for a normal life. Maybe, just maybe, we can be a family again. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe we could reclaim the years lost. But deep down, I knew the past wasn't done with us yet. Over the next few days, we met several times. Emily explained more, the people she had escaped, the choices she had made, the lies she had to tell. And she revealed another shocking truth. There's one person, Dad, someone I trusted, who betrayed me. Someone I thought was a friend. And they're the reason I had to leave in the first place. My heart skipped a beat. After our last meeting, I thought I had a rough idea of what Emily had endured. But I was wrong. The next part of her story, the part she finally decided to tell me, shook me to my core. She looked at me that afternoon, sitting across from me in the quiet of my living room. Dad, there's something you need to know, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I leaned forward. Anything, Emily. I can handle it. She took a deep breath. The person who betrayed me. It wasn't just someone from college. It was someone I trusted with my life. Someone I thought was like family. I froze. Someone you trusted betrayed you? She nodded. Yes. His name was Michael. He was a close friend. Or at least I thought he was. My stomach sank. Michael, your college friend? She nodded again, eyes filled with tears. He was the one who introduced me to those people, the dangerous people. He promised me support, guidance, friendship. But it was a trap. He knew what he was doing. And I walked right into it. I could hardly believe it. Emily had been forced into danger by someone she trusted. Why would he do that? I asked. He needed something from me, Dad, she said, her hands trembling. Information access. I don't even know exactly. But he used me. And when I realized it, it was too late. I couldn't go to the police. I couldn't tell anyone, not even you. Because if I did, he would come after you. The weight of her words hit me like a physical blow. All those years of fear, of silence, of pain, it wasn't random. It was calculated. And it was personal. I felt a mix of anger, sorrow, and guilt. Anger at Michael, sorrow for what Emily had endured, and guilt for not being there to protect her. Emily continued. I tried to get out. I really did. But every time I thought I was safe, there was a new threat. A new lie. A new danger. And I couldn't risk you. That's why I stayed away. That's why I ignored you. Because I loved you too much to let anything happen to you. I reached across the table and held her hands. Emily, you did the right thing. You protected me. That's all that matters. She shook her head. I know it sounds crazy. But that's the truth. And there's more. Dad. There's more that Michael did. More than I can even say out loud. I felt a chill. More? Yes. She whispered. He was dangerous. And he wasn't alone. There were others. People I thought were friends, they turned out to be enemies. And they were always watching, always waiting. I had to run, constantly. I had to disappear, to survive. I couldn't imagine the life she had lived. 7 years on the run, alone, terrified, hiding from people who wanted to harm her. And for all that time, she had kept it from me, to protect me. I thought, maybe if I stayed away, if I pretended I didn't exist, I could keep you safe. But I was wrong, Dad. I was so wrong, she said, her voice breaking. I wanted to hold her, to tell her it was okay, that it wasn't her fault. But I knew words weren't enough. The silence stretched between us, heavy and full of unspoken memories. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. There's one last thing, Dad, she said, her eyes wide. Something I didn't even know until recently. Michael, he's still out there. And he knows I'm back. He knows I'm with you now. I felt my heart skip a beat. He knows? She nodded. Yes. And I think he might be coming for us. I didn't know whether to feel panic or resolve. Fear gripped me, but so did determination. No, Emily, I said firmly. He's not going to hurt us. We'll face this together. You're not alone anymore. She looked at me, relief and fear mixing in her eyes. I hope you're right, Dad. I really do. Over the next few days, Emily and I began piecing together the past. She told me about the threats, the manipulation, the lies Michael had spread. She explained how he had used her fears against her, controlled her actions, and isolated her from everyone who could help. And the worst part, she said, tears in her eyes, was believing I had no choice but to disappear. I thought maybe if I left, everything would be okay. Maybe you'd be safe. I held her hands tightly. Emily, you're safe now. And we'll make sure of it. We'll find a way to stop him. We'll protect each other. She nodded, but the fear in her eyes remained. Dad, there's one more thing, she whispered. When I left, Michael stole something from me. Something important. Something that could ruin me if he ever uses it. My stomach sank. What did he steal? I can't even say, she said, voice trembling. It's personal. But it's powerful. And I think he might use it to get to you, too. I felt a wave of dread. Michael had not only destroyed her peace. He could now threaten me. But anger burned within me. I would not let this man ruin our lives any longer. I knew we had to act. Not blindly, but carefully. Emily and I spent the next days making plans, figuring out who we could trust, what we needed to protect, and how to confront the past. And through it all, the bond between us grew stronger. After 7 years of silence, after all the pain, after all the fear, Emily and I were finally together. But danger loomed. And I knew that confronting Michael, uncovering the full truth, would test us in ways we couldn't yet imagine. Yet, despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, I felt hope. Hope that we could finally face the past, and perhaps reclaim the future. Because one call had changed everything. But the real test, the one that would determine whether we survived, was still ahead. And I knew, deep in my heart, that the next chapter would be the most shocking yet. After everything Emily had told me, I knew there was no turning back. We couldn't pretend the past hadn't happened. We couldn't ignore the threats, the lies, or the danger that Michael still represented. But for the first time in 7 years, I felt a sense of control. I wasn't going to sit back and let him destroy the life of my daughter, or my own. "Emily," I said firmly, "we face this together. All of it. No more running. No more hiding." She looked at me, a mixture of fear and relief in her eyes. "I'm ready, Dad," she whispered. We began planning carefully. We gathered evidence of everything Michael had done, the threats, the manipulation, the lies. We reached out to people we could trust, lawyers, friends who had been disconnected from him, anyone who could help. And then the day came. The confrontation. We arranged a meeting. A public place. Somewhere safe. Michael didn't know we had prepared. Didn't know we had allies. When he arrived, I could see the arrogance in his face. The smug confidence of someone who thought he still controlled everything. Emily and I stood together, side by side. And I realized, the daughter I had thought I had lost, was stronger than I had ever imagined. Michael tried to speak, to manipulate, to threaten. But Emily didn't flinch. "I'm done listening to you, Michael," she said, her voice steady. "I'm done being afraid. And you have no power over me anymore." I watched him falter. For the first time, the man who had terrorized my daughter looked uncertain. "You don't understand," he started, but I stepped forward. "I understand perfectly," I said. "You manipulated, betrayed, and hurt the person I love most. And it ends now. We had all the evidence. All the proof of his threats, lies, and illegal activities. Within hours he was exposed. Legal action began. And for the first time in years, Emily was free. We drove home that evening in silence. The tension in the car was heavy, but it was different now. Not fear. Not anxiety. Relief. Relief mixed with exhaustion and the weight of everything we had endured. When we arrived, I looked at Emily. "You're home, Emily," I said softly. She smiled, tears streaming down her face. "I'm home, Dad. Really home." We spent the next days reconnecting in ways I had dreamed of for years. We talked about everything. About the years she had lost. About my loneliness. About the fear we had both carried. And for the first time, we laughed together. Real laughter. The kind that fills a house. Emily told me small stories from her time away, funny things, little victories, moments of hope she had found even in fear. And I shared my own struggles, the nights I spent waiting, praying, hoping, wishing she would come back. Our bond, once broken, was slowly mending. But the most powerful moment came when Emily said something I will never forget. "Dad, I thought I had lost you forever. I thought I'd never have a chance to come back. But now I see, you never stopped loving me. Even when I wasn't there. Even when I ignored you, you loved me. And that's what saved me." I held her close. "Emily, you were never lost. Not really. You were always my daughter. And no one could ever change that." The weeks that followed were healing. Emily started rebuilding her life. She enrolled in new courses, found work she loved, and slowly, cautiously, began trusting people again. And I found myself feeling alive again. The loneliness that had weighed on me for 7 years began to lift. I realized something important. Life isn't just about protecting, it's about understanding, forgiving, and moving forward. Emily and I had both suffered. We had both carried fear, guilt, and pain. But now, together, we could finally face the future. There were still challenges ahead. Michael's shadow lingered. The trauma of the past couldn't vanish overnight. But the foundation was solid. Trust. Love. Family. We had rebuilt it from scratch. And it felt stronger than ever. One day, Emily said something that struck me deeply. Dad, do you remember when I used to run to you with scraped knees? When I was scared of the world? I always knew you'd be there. And even when I left, I still believed you would be. I nodded. I waited for you, Emily. I never gave up on you. And I never will. She smiled. I know, Dad. And I won't ever leave again. Not like that. Not ever. I felt my heart swell. That's what love is. That's what family is. Through fear, betrayal, silence, and danger, we had found our way back to each other. We had faced the past together. And for the first time in a long time, I felt peace. One call, 7 years of silence, and finally, everything had changed. Emily and I sat together on the porch that evening, watching the sunset. The world was calm. The air smelled like freedom and new beginnings. She rested her head on my shoulder. I held her hand. And I knew, no matter what challenges came next, we would face them together. Because we had survived the impossible. We had conquered fear, lies, and betrayal. And in the end, love, forgiveness, and family had won. I whispered to her, Emily, welcome home. And she whispered back, I'm home, Dad. I'm really home.